Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a very emotional issue for so many reasons. You know, I'm an immigrant like yourself. I came here at the age of 14, and I know that we have a room full of Dreamer, DACA recipients, TPS. I just stepped out for a few minutes to meet so many of them from Florida, from my district. We have a large population of Dreamer, DACA recipients and TPS recipients who right now, as we hear today, are living in limbo. You have placed your roots here in this country. As far as I'm concerned, you are as American as any of us. And it gives me great optimism to hear my colleague across the aisle being committed to finding a solution. Because one of the problems, and I do hear this coming from the other side, is that they talk a lot about the rule of law and coming here legally, well, overstaying their visas. The problem is that this country doesn't provide a path to citizenship. It doesn't provide a line for permanent residency. We have so many members of our community who are right now, just like all of you, studying to be doctors, providing healthcare services that are so greatly needed in my community. You are teachers, you are parents, you are business owners. The economic impact would be tremendously negative if you were to, from one day to the next, leave. We need each and every one of you in this country, and we will do everything in our power in the House, I can tell you that in this committee, to make sure that we provide a safe place for you because you are American. I want to bring up a few examples of people that I actually just met with, and one of them is a student who just graduated from college, and she wants to be an attorney, and she doesn't have the funding to go to college because the state in Florida doesn't provide scholarships for DACA recipients. So my first question is to Mr. Graham. I don't know if you've done a study on this, on what it would be, economically speaking, the economic impact of actually providing college scholarships, graduate school scholarships for dreamers in the state of Florida, what it would mean for us in terms of our progress, our economy, and the impact in our communities.
Thank you for the question, Congresswoman. I can't do a horseback estimate of that, but there are 10 states now, including the state of California, but also including the state of Texas, Washington, Minnesota, very recently New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, that give state aid to dreamers equally with state aid to other eligible students. Each has a residency requirement. You have to have graduated from college, from high school, and in some cases gone 3 years to high school to be eligible for state aid. It would be relatively easy to ask California or Texas education officials what's been the effect of that. And as you know, Florida and most states gather records from all of their state colleges and all private colleges in the case of Florida, and look at the effect on their earnings. So the question you're asking could be answered by asking any of the 10 states that give state aid to dreamers.
Okay, great, thank you. I wanted to ask Yasmin, very exciting. You know, we need women like you. We need Hispanic women that study to be doctors. There's such a tremendous shortage of healthcare providers, but especially in medical schools. We are constantly, I used to work at a medical school, and we're constantly trying to recruit women of color that have the cultural sensitivity to provide healthcare services to these communities, especially down in Miami and in Florida. So my question goes to you. How has this recent DACA rescission negatively impacted your ability to excel as a medical student?
I really appreciate your question. Thank you for that question. In 2017, I took an entire leave of absence from medical school. And the background to that is the presidential elections and the inauguration brought a lot of implications for me and for my family and people who are like us. There had been a lot of talk during the presidential campaigns about what would happen to DACA and what would happen to immigrant families based on the promises of people who were running. And mentally, as a human being who loves his country and who is giving everything because this is my home, hearing theoretically and also hearing from people back home in New Mexico, which is a majority minority state, that I don't belong here, that this isn't my home, and that I'm taking the place of a natural-born citizen was really difficult. So I took an entire year off school to spend time with my community and to realize their realities, whereas my biggest worry was my next test and how I'm going to perform. Their biggest worry was my dad just got detained and he got deported and we don't know how we're gonna pay rent. It has been really difficult. I just shared I finished my surgery clerkship and I'm going to be really vulnerable with you all. I literally had a breakdown 4 days before my shelf exam, which is National Board of Medical Examiners exam at the end of the surgery clerkship, because the uncertainty as I try to begin to apply to residency of what am I going to do? I'm working so hard right now, and at the end of the day, it may be worth nothing. So I literally spent 30 minutes crying, and then I was like, wiped my tears, got on my computer, cried a little bit more. I was like, I have to keep studying. But it is really difficult on my mental health and the mental health of my peers. There are 4 other undocumented students at the medical school who are experiencing the same thing.
The time of the gentlelady has expired.
Thank you. We need you.
The gentleman